Good morning, everybody. So here we are ready for another maths lesson. So today we're going to have a look at improper fractions and how we convert them into a mixed number. So we'll have a look at what an improper fraction is in a minute to remind ourselves. So first of all, we've got Sophia here, and she is doing some painting, and she wants to paint Lee's room in blue. And at the bottom, she's got some cans of paint. Now, each can holds half a litre of paint. So how much paint does Sophia have in total? That's what we're going to have a look at. So she's got 5 cans, each with half a litre. So here we go. This is showing you it with a picture. So each can at the top is half a litre, which we can then see in our bar model. Now this is showing it, first of all, as just adding half each time. So we've got 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves. And so this here, the way that this has been written here, is called an improper fraction. Now, some of you might remember why it's improper. And the reason is because the numerator, which is the number at the top of the fraction, is higher or bigger than the denominator. So as soon as your numerator is larger than your denominator, then your fraction is improper because it's kind of top heavy. Normally it's smaller than the below number. And here it is. So it says 5 halves is an improper fraction. The numerator is larger than the denominator. Always remember, numerator goes at the top, denominator, I was thinking denominator down, goes at the bottom. So this then shows it how we're going to change it into a mixed number. Now this is how we see things written more commonly. So what they've done down here at the bottom is that they thought, right, well, there's a half and a half, and they know that 2 halves make 1 whole, and then there's another 2 halves, which makes 2 wholes, and then there's 1 half left over. So Sophia in total has got 2.5 litres of paint, and that is the same as 5 halves. So 5 halves is the improper fraction, and 2.5, how it's written here, is the mixed number. Now there are 2 new vocabulary words that we're going to be using a lot today and tomorrow. So as long as you remember, an improper fraction has a larger numerator than denominator, and a mixed number is where then it's put it back into how many wholes that has made and how many fractions are left over. Okay, so let's have a look at the thing together. Now this says here the hallway will be painted in green. Now green paint comes in cans of 1/3 of a litre, and Sophia uses 10 cans. How many green paint does she use? How much, sorry, green paint does she use in total? Now, again, we know that there's 10 cans, each with 1/3 in them. So we could do like we saw on the previous slide. This would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, 8/3, 9/3, 10/3, which is where this number here has come from. But obviously we're not going to say how much green paint does she use in total. She used 10/3. We need to put it into a mixed number. So we know that 3/3, in order to get 1 whole, we must have 3/3 like this, so that if it's the same as a whole, the numerator and the denominator are the same. So if we have 3/3, that is the equivalent or the same as 1 whole. So here it's showing this is 1 whole because it's got 1, 2, 3. This is another whole, 1, 2, 3. This is another whole because there's another 3 to there, and then there's 1 left over. So how many thirds, how many wholes have we got in total? We've got 1, 2, 3 wholes. So here we would say we've got 3 wholes, which I'd write in this box, and how many thirds left over that don't make a whole would be this one here. So we've got 1/3 left over. So Sophia uses 3 wholes and 1/3 of a litre of green paint. So there we're converting from our improper fraction to a mixed number. Now there is a slightly different way that we can do this. It's fine if you can easily visualise how many holes you've got, but sometimes we need a bit of a quick method in order to switch these around, which I'm going to show you now. So if we look here, we've got 5 quarters. Now, the other way to put these into a mixed number is that if we take our denominator and we actually divide it by our numerator, sorry, I've said that wrong. If we take our numerator and we divide it by our denominator, that's going to tell us how many holes we've got and what's left over. So for 5/4, if I did 5 and I divided it by 4, I would get 1, remainder 1. Now the 1, the whole that I've got is this whole number, and the remainder would go at the top of our fraction. And then to know what the denominator needs to be is the same as the one we've looked at the beginning. So 5/4 is the same as 1 and 1/4. Because if we were to look at that in a picture, we might see, so if I had, this is my cans of paint again, let's imagine. I'm not doing these very well, it's a bit tricky on this computer and it keeps wanting to get rid of them. This yesterday, didn't it? So if I've drawn, silly old thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, doesn't want me to do number 5. Oh, there we go. There we go. I've got 5/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I know that 4/4 makes 1 whole, which is what we've got here. And then I've got 1/4 left over. So it's just a quicker way of doing it, to divide the numerator by the denominator. So let's have a look at another one to see if we can do it. So maybe pause the video and have a go at this one. 13/4. So step 1 is going to be 13 divided by 4. See if you can do it. And remember, the first number that you get is your whole number, and whatever is left is the numerator for the mixed number. Okay, so have you had a try? So 13 divided by 4. Well, I know that 13 divided by 4, if I do 3 times 4, I get 12, don't I? So I've got 3, and I've got a remainder of 1. It's not wanting me to write today on here, is it? Of 1. There we go. So that means I've got 3 holes. I've got 1 left over, so I'm going to write that at the top of my numerator. And then I think, well, what am I going to write as my denominator? I go back to my original fraction, and I think, well, we're looking at quarters, so this must be the same. So it's 3 and 1/4. Okay. Have a go with this one in the same way. So what am I going to divide by what? I haven't written it on here. See if you can remember what to do. Pause the video and then come back. Okay, so he had a go. So hopefully what you've done for this one is you should have done 15. My pen's going to like us today. 15 divided by, I'm not very good at writing with this, I'm sorry, it's a bit messy, divided by 4. Okay, so I'm going to count in my 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16. Well, 16 is too far. I'm going to go back. 4, 8, 12. So I've got 3 holes. I'm going to write my 3 if I can. Once we do, it's a bit low, my 3 here. Now, I got up to 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got 3 left over this time. So I've got a remainder of 3. So I've got 3 holes, which is going to come into this box here. The remainder is going to be my numerator, see? And then I'm going to put my quarters at the bottom. Okay, so 41 divided by 4. Let me just move my head so we can have a bit more space. Ooh, here I go. So 41 divided by 4, I'm going to do first. So that's going to give me 10, isn't it? Because 10 times 4 is 40, remainder 1. So that means here 41/4, I've got 10 holes and I've got 1 left over. Then I've got my quarters at the bottom. All right, do you get the idea? Now, sometimes you might just be able to think with the smaller numbers that you can do it, but this is a really good method once you've got larger numbers as your numerator. So this is your work for today. All going to be about converting improper fractions into a mixed number. Now, the first part of this work is all about writing them down, and actually it's very visual, so you can count with the things given to you. And then as you move through, you can see lower down on question 3 and 4 that you've got to have a go at doing like we've just done and putting them from an improper into mixed number. So remember to divide that numerator by the denominator. And then it looks like question 4, you've got to write them in lots of different ways. So what has happened here, if we look down at question number 4, at this part A, 14/4, you've got to find your mixed number. And then look, it's done something here where it's changed from quarters into halves. They've actually simplified their mixed number, which you can do like you did with simplifying yesterday. So have a go. If you get stuck with any of them, obviously like lots of you are already doing, please send me a message and I'll send you some help. and have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.